Firstly, I'd like to define a few terms, and it's important to know the spelling of these words as well as their meaning. So, a corresponding angle is also known as an F angle, and it shouldn't be called an F angle in an exam, it's called a corresponding angle. But if you have two lines that are parallel like this, and parallel lines are shown with an arrow like that on them, I should write that clearer, right? So if you've got two lines like this and you've got some arrowheads on there, it shows that they're parallel. Parallel is spelt this way, parallel, and it's got two parallel lines in the middle of it. That's how I remember it. That means that on flat space again, if you draw two parallel lines, they will never meet. Interestingly, if you to draw two parallel lines on the equator of a globe, all pointing north, so let's have a globe here, and you've got the equator around the outside, and you've got two people standing here, one here and one here, and they both look north. Well, they are parallel on the equator, but of course they do meet at the North Pole. So on spherical space, parallel lines do meet. On flat space, parallel lines don't meet. So yeah, that's just something to think about. Anyway, corresponding angles, you're saying that these two angles here are equal. If you have two parallel lines and a line that cuts them like that, then these two angles here are corresponding and are equal. With alternate angles, that's something similar, but if I had to have two lines like this, then these two lines here are alternate. And it looks a bit like a bow tie. I remember this to be the bow tie angle thing. These are known as alternate angles. And you can use a mixture of the corresponding and alternate angles to find the rest of the angles that we're going to be finding later on. So this term here, supplementary angles, I'm going to be defining a little later on. But it's important to know that there are these three different terms. So in this first example, we've got to find A should be fairly straightforward just by looking at the fact that you've got a straight line here, and the A must be the remainder of 180 degrees. So this must be 80 degrees here. And using the same idea, you can work out what C is. C must be 80 degrees as well. And A and C are both alternate. They are alternate angles. What could be said about B and 100? Well, for the same thing as I said before here, B and 100 are also alternate, so they are equal. So this must be 100 degrees. Okay, a little further down, we've got two parallel lines here shown by these arrows. So we should be able to use this corresponding rule, hopefully. But first of all, finding A is just alternate with 70, so they are equal. So I can say here that A is 70 degrees. And C, C is corresponding with A. So A and C are equal as well. So C is 70 degrees. Now I've gone out of sync here. I've missed out B. So I must be able to find B as well. Here's another definition for alternate. I'm going to go up to the above here. So another way of thinking about alternate angles is if you have two parallel lines and you have the line going through it like this. You've got the F as well as what's called a Z. So the Z I'm going to do in a different colour. Let's do that in red. The Z can be seen here. And these two angles are equal. They're inside a Z. I'm going to draw that more clearly here. These two. If these two lines are parallel, the Z in the middle has two alternate angles that are the same. So this is alternate, and this is alternate as well. So one looks like an X and one looks like a Z. So we can use that I did further down here, we can see that our Z shape has appeared there. So therefore A and B are equal because they're alternate as well. So B is also 70 degrees. So what about D? D is the only other angle to find. D is the remaining angle from 180 degrees. Now this is what I was talking about earlier. This is the supplementary angle. Supplementary. It means that it's the remaining angle from 180 degrees. So that means that D must be 110 degrees. Okay, one more video and I'm going to give you some time to start the exercises. So to find A, we'll find A first. That should be easy. It's just the remainder of 180 degrees from 60 and 70, because all the way around the outside here, this bit adds up to 180 degrees. So we can do 180 minus 60 minus 70. So that's 130. That must be 50 degrees. Then we should find B. And B, we can see, is a bow tie with A. It's the alternate angle with A, so that must be also 50 degrees. C next. Well, C is a part of a Z, but it's also a part of an F. The F is a bit difficult to see. It's upside down and slanted. That's the top of the F, and then you have the side of the F going all the way down this way, and then you have the bit of the F in the middle there. So that means that the 70 degrees and C, they are corresponding angles, so they are equal. That must be 70 degrees. And finally D, how can we find that? We could add up B and C and take it away from 180 to find D, or we could spot that this one and this one are the same, so that means D must be 60 degrees. And we could check it by adding up these three angles, the B, the C and the D, to see if they are in fact 180 degrees. And they all add up to 180 degrees. Great. Now this line again indicates to start the exercises.